couple days ago, I asked you guys to submit your craziest, most revolting and outlandish Mario hot takes, and you guys truly outdid yourself. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you my opinions on your hot takes. Hope you enjoy. The Tour City courses are some of, if not my most favorite courses in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, including the base game. The changing laps are genius and make for an extremely varied gameplay. I've kind of got to disagree with you here. I think, the Tour City courses are pretty neat and I do love the changing laps, but just compared to the other courses in the game, to me, they kind of just all seem to blend together, honestly. I don't know if that's just me, but I think they're great, but it's just something I feel. I didn't mind the oversaturation of 2D Mario games. In fact, I wish they made more. I do wish they made more 2D Mario games, especially after this hiatus we've had for some time now. I would just hope they don't go back to the new soup style. Rock Mountain is easily a top 10 Mario Kart track. Huge off-road sections, huge hills, ramps, caves, cliffs. It's got it all. Even some great music to jam out to. I've got to agree with you on the music there. Not sure if it's a top 10 all-time Mario Kart track, but I definitely say top half. Mario Odyssey was a great transition from the normal Mario 3D platformer, but the transformations could have been less one note. Being able to use some of the captures to just run around in and not always using them for just moons would be a nice touch, and often rarely offer exploration. I completely agree with this one. I remember in some places I would try and just walk around as the Koopas with the pans in Luncheon Kingdom. I just wanted to beat the level as those characters, and you really couldn't do that because their movement was so lackluster compared to Mario. I think the only capture in the game that really offers, more exploration is Yoshi in the Mushroom Kingdom, and that's post-game. So I definitely agree. If they do have a Mario Odyssey 2, this would be my #1 thing for more exploration with captures. Wave 1 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass was the wave I enjoyed playing the most. I don't know if it was because it was new Mario Kart content at that time, but I overplayed all of the Wave 1 tracks more than any other tracks in the Booster Course Pass. I think you kind of answered your own question there. I do believe it was because they were new Mario Kart content. We haven't gotten that in a long time. I don't think those tracks are particularly the best. I think they're probably the worst in the Booster Course Pass, and that's just because I think they've been putting more effort into the later waves, which I think is amazing. But yeah, I do agree, new content in Mario Kart really did boost my love for the game. I actually think Mario Kart Super Circuit wasn't that bad. Before 8 Deluxe, it had the most amount of tracks in the series, that being 40. The first game to have retro tracks, the first game in the series that you could take on the go, and had a single player versus mode for the first time. Oh, I completely agree. I think Super Circuit, what makes Super Circuit, looked at bad nowadays is that it came out after N64, which people saw as like a downgrade. But at the time, having basically an SNES in your pocket was huge. I think the marketing of it being the third game in the series kind of hurt it, but I think that's also just, retrospective views. So yeah, Super Circuit is not bad. Chris Pratt was actually great casting for a Brooklyn version of Mario that they were planning to use on in the movie. I actually don't hate the Chris Pratt casting. I do wish they didn't go for the, celebrity voice acting casting route. But I've actually loved everything I've seen from the movie so far before seeing it, because it obviously hasn't came out yet. But yeah, I'm actually really glad that DS Mario Circuit has made its way into the Booster Course Pass. I know I honestly wasn't that excited about it when I heard about it, but just driving around in it, it's honestly been one of my favorite tracks to race around in the new Wave 4. The music to Hazy Maze Cave in Super Mario 64 is probably the best music in the entire franchise. Hot take, but I don't disagree. I think the music's great. Mario Kart Tour deserves less hate than it gets. It brings back favorite tracks, controls aren't that bad. The cartoony, plasticky graphics are because it's a mobile game, which is understandable, and it's the main reason why most likely your favorite Mario Kart track is in the Booster Course Pass. Okay. If you know anything about me, I don't like Mario Kart Tour. I actually kind of despise it, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt. I do agree that the cartoony, plasticky graphics aren't bad because it's mobile. Speaking of controls aren't that bad, I completely disagree. Even after they've added, horizontal mode and, I can't stand it. But I will say I'm happy it exists because we did get the Booster Course Pass, and I don't think we get it if we don't have the Booster Course Pass. So that's all I'll say about Tour, but I respect your opinion. That's what I'll say. Dry Desert is one of the top 5 3 same lap courses out there. It's so fun online. Maybe it's fun to drive around in, but the visuals to me kind of suck. But if you're into that, then good for you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Mario 3D World is the best game in the entire mainline Mario series. Using the 2D Mario format in the 3D space was genius. Every single level is unique with a cool new mechanic or feature that gets expanded. The green stars allow for even more exploration, so it's not just getting to the end. The controls feel great, and the game was built around an 8-directional movement of a Wiimote amazingly. And that doesn't even retract anything by not being 360 like Mario 64 DS suffers from. The music is some of the best in the franchise, and for me, double hot take, better than Galaxies. And couch co-op, and the Switch version even has online co-op. Adds so much to the gameplay experience that you wouldn't be able to get in a single player game. I had a better time playing and later 100%ing this game than I have with any other Mario game, and it's really not praised enough. I would have to extremely agree with basically everything you said, maybe besides the music being better than Galaxies, but I would have to completely agree with the co-op. This game is meant for co-op. If you've never played it with, if you got like friends or family around, just get 3 of your buddies, sit down, go through the entire game, make sure to get every single green star. It is an absolute blast of a game. You will not regret your purchase. Mario All-Stars and advanced versions of the classic Mario games are the definitive versions of the games. This is because of improved controls, graphics, content, and quality of life additions. I wouldn't disagree, but if I'm gonna go back and play a version, I'm going to play the original versions that released on their original systems, just because I don't know why actually. It's actually interesting you bring that up, but I kind of have nothing to say. I was coming into reading that like kind of negative about your comment because it kind of like hurt me, but now that I read it, it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's the same thing as like, yeah, I kind of have nothing. I think you win. Traditional Mario games would be a lot better if they had more personal and emotional storylines with dialogue and more characterization. Besides gameplay, I think having a good and strong story is one of the most important things in these type of games. We kind of saw that in Sunshine. I think if we got like just a little bit more story sprinkled in, kind of like Rosalina's storybook in Galaxy, you just like something to like, you know, build more suspense or, you know, drive, or I don't know, just a little teaspoon of story, I think significantly enhances Mario games. Because if not, they blend together with all the other games. I like Mario Galaxy 1 better than 2, but I do wish there was more to do in the post game, like in Galaxy 2. I'd have to completely agree. I think Galaxy 2's post game is significantly better, but I think Galaxy 1 just has a better flow to it because of the Comet Observatory. Starship Mario just does not hold a candle to what Galaxy 1 was able to do. And the story is basically the exact same in 2. They should really branch away from only using Bowser as the villain in main stories. I would love to see Wario and Waluigi doing something in a mainline game as a villain. I completely agree. I think Wario and Waluigi doing something would be, as villains, would be amazing. Super Mario Sunshine was unique because of the characters were speaking full sentences, especially Bowser and Bowser Jr. I felt like I was watching a movie instead of playing a game sometimes. I completely agree with you. I think people who rag on Super Mario Sunshine for the voice acting, like, what do you, it's Mario. I think having the story in there added so much to that game. It gave it so much character. We got like Bowser Jr. just wanting a mother, like that's such a wholesome reason for a villain to have. I think it enhances that game like 10x%. Mario Strikers Battle League wasn't that bad. It was the lack of content, but the mechanics were still pretty solid. Oh, I don't disagree. I think, you know, if Mario Strikers Battle League was a burger, it would be the patty and the buns. There wouldn't be, you know, any of the toppings, you know, any you know, replayability to it. It would just be like, you know, 2 pieces of white bread and you know, the meat in the middle. And like, I guess if they want to sell that for $60, go right ahead. But preferably, I like my Mario sports games with, you know, a little bit of, you know, substance to them. But you know, some people like paying for unfinished games. Bowser's Fury, in my opinion, is one of the best Mario games of all time. Definitely a top 3 Mario game. See, I can't justify that. I think Bowser's Fury is an incredible game, and it shows so much, you know, hope for the future of 3D Mario, because I think that's the direction they're going. But I don't think I can call it a top 3 game. In my opinion, I think Bowser's Fury is more akin to like an EP or an extended play from like a musical artist who'd put out like, you know, 4, 5, 6 songs, and it'd be like kind of like a transition period between like album to album. I agree it's great, but I don't think I could put it in the top 3, especially if we're talking outside of 3D Mario, because I think, you know, games like Super Mario World even crack in there. I feel like Mario Kart is becoming too realistic. It's kind of over detailed. This is why I love the Wii and tours to some extent graphics. They feel cartoony and faithful to the series. An example are the trees in Wii Mario Circuit. They're not realistic and are cartoony, but if it was ported to Mario Kart 8, it would most likely be replaced with realistic trees. I don't think like those games are very detailed, but I don't think they're very I don't think they're definitely realistic. Like if I showed somebody Hyrule Circuit, I don't think they'd be like, oh my God, that's a real castle and that's a real tree. No, I think it's definitely more detailed and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you prefer cartoony graphics, that's fun. The new Super Mario Bros. Games are really good and don't deserve the hate. The level design is good, the music is good, the Mario bosses are good, and everything is good personally. Okay, I think the strong dislike of these games is warranted because I feel like it took an entire decade and a half of Mario 2D titles and basically just, you know, morph them into the most, you know, plasticky cookie cutter games of all time. The movie designs of the characters are better than the game designs. Okay, this is actually funny because when I first saw the designs, it was like, ew, those look disgusting. But once you actually see them moving, they were built for, you know, facial expressions and like movement and like soul and like character voices. And I think it really actually does work. I think their designs are like amazing. And I've really grown on them, but at first I was like, it was so like odd seeing them like that. But I think they are actually very, very good. So Mario 64 is plagued with nostalgia. I would have to completely disagree with you. I first played Mario 64 in 2020 when 3D All-Stars came out. That was the first time I had ever played it in my entire life, and it completely grew on me. I went into it thinking Galaxy was my favorite game, just because that was the only one of the three I had played and grown up with. And 64 and Sunshine both grew on me so much that I would have to completely disagree. I think the movement in Mario 64 is unrivaled by any game, maybe besides Odyssey. I think the exploration of the castle of Peach's castle in that game is insane. I think the 3-act structure of the castle with the, you know, the main floor, then the basement, then the second floor. I think everything about it, it really is like the quintessential Mario game in my opinion. Even more than Odyssey, even more than like Super Mario World. I think 64 is probably my favorite game in the entire Mario series, and I didn't play it until I was 18 years old, and I would have to disagree with you. The increasing commercialization and recognition of Mario's IP will further restrict Nintendo's creativity and ability to innovate, and fearing a risk that will cause a loss in revenue, which will lead to consequences down the road. Bro, this is Mario. This is one of the biggest IPs of all time. I don't think it's growing. Maybe it's getting bigger because of the Mario movie, but like, I don't suspect it will cause a fear and loss of revenue. I think Mario controlled the best in Super Mario Sunshine. I think Odyssey made him way too sluggish, and Flood gives the player unrivaled movement options. How's that for a hot take, XD? I actually agree. I think Sunshine's movement is very, very good. I think 64's is the most fun, but I think Sunshine, besides Odyssey, I think is the cleanest. Maybe not the cleanest, but you know, the most fluid in my opinion. Odyssey too sluggish. I don't really know about that, but maybe if you play enough Odyssey, you kind of start feeling that. So I'm on your side. Water Park is top 10 in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think that's a valid take. I think, you know, maybe if you're talking about like the original courses in before the booster course pass, then maybe. But I think it's definitely a top half track. I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad track. Mario Kart Tour is one of the best Mario Kart games. What are we doing here? I really don't like how Rosalina went from a tragic character with her family and backstory to a type of fan service character who is mainly here to act like another Peach. I don't really agree. I think that's just kind of how Mario characters, like they come into their games, you know. I think her backstory isn't like invalid now. She's just playable in like Mario Kart and, you know, Mario Strikers, and she's playable in games, which is awesome. Just like we want to see Pauline in like Mario Kart. I think I disagree with you. I would like Nintendo to stop producing Paper Mario games and bring back the Mario and Luigi franchise. I find that the story, the universe, and the characters are much better done than Paper Mario. In addition, the license no longer knows where to go, as we have seen with the Origami King. Alpha Dream went out of business, we all know this, and there's no more Mario and Luigi games. I think if they were to bring it back, not under Alpha Dream, are we gonna get the same kind of quality? Like, I know it's the franchise Mario and Luigi, but you know, are we going to get the same kind of quality? I'm not so sure, so I wouldn't be so, you know, inclined to be like, you know, it's Mario and Luigi, not Paper Mario. I think it's all about the developers and not so much about the title. Bowser's Fury is the stronger game in Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Incorrect. It's a great game, but it is nothing to Super Mario 3D World because Super Mario 3D World is a full game filled with an entire campaign you can play with others. I completely disagree with you in that regard. I'm okay with unfinished games getting free updates later. You're okay with it? What are you talking about, bro? I understand, just make everything that you want to put in the game before you release it. There's no point. It irritates me so much, and I hate that people are defending Nintendo for this. Like, there's no point in being okay with it. SNES Rainbow Road is actually fun. Completely agree with you on this point. SNES Rainbow Road is probably one of my favorite tracks in the entire series. It is very fun. And our final hot take, Super Mario 64 has aged insanely well. I would have to somewhat agree, but also like kinda disagree. I think visually it looks not very good compared to, you know, even like games during that time like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64. But I think the movement has aged insanely well. Camera controls have not aged well. So there's many things that, you know, go back and forth, but all in all, I think it aged decently. Do you agree that Mario 64 has aged well? Leave a comment in the comments below letting me know, and I'll make sure to respond to as many as possible. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.